You've probably heard about dual booting. We talk about dual booting all the time. You know, when you run Windows and Linux on the same computer. But what about triple booting or quadruple? You could really go a long way. But I don't think there's a word for how far Richard Robbins has gone. He says he's running 39 different operating systems on his PC. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Good. How are you doing,
And
Leo?
we found out about you because you sent us an email saying,
I did.
Guess what I did?
Yeah.
That's wacky. Why'd you do that?
Well, you know, it kind of started out as a hobby between, like, booting 98 and 2000, and then I just got thinking, how many systems can you put on there?
So that was your goal. It's not that you use all 39 operating systems.
Oh, no. It was kind of a test to see how many you could boot on one PC.
Which is harder, finding 39 operating systems or getting them all to boot?
Getting them all to boot,
Yeah.
but finding them is an issue as well.
I didn't even know there were 39 operating systems
I didn't
in the
when
world.
I started either.
So when did you start doing this?
I started about a year ago.
And how long did it take you before you got to the number 39?
Well, within the last month.
Oh, really? So it's taken a while.
I've just been, you know, toning them up and.
Mom and Dad think you're nuts, don't they?
Yes, they do. And my mom commented many times on what a waste of time it was. So,
she's here, by the way.
Until now. Now she thinks it was worth every time.
Yeah, because you're on national television.
Exactly.
That's great. And you're going to go home with a fabulous prize package. Not.
Yeah.
So let's take. First of all, I guess one of the issues is the bootloader.
Exactly.
Is that the kind of the key to the whole thing?
It
is finding
is.
a bootloader that'll work. Did you try a variety of different ones?
I did. I tried the B loader at first. That's the loader goes to BOS.
A nice fast loader.
It works well, but I wanted something that was a little more complex, that had more options.
It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Did you try Lilo and Grub, the Linux loaders?
I have tried Lilo, but it was a little, like I say, I wanted something easier that would configure itself.
You settled on this. This is XOSL.
Yeah, that stands for the Extended Operating System Loader. So.
Where'd you find that? I never heard of that.
Well, I just did some research on the internet and came across it.
And this is a freeware or a commercial program? Or?
Oh, it's free. It's open source. So.
Okay. Now, I don't see 39. How many operating systems do you have on this top level menu?
Well, as you can see, I have this separated into actually 5 menus. And the reason I have to do that is because XOSL will only have support for 24 items.
So you kind of, you got a tree in a way.
Exactly.
But XOSL will boot to another XOSL partition?
It will.
See, that's nice. Not all bootloaders will do that. So this one's living in the master boot record, and then it jumps to...
It jumps to a logical drive.
A logical drive. All right. How many partitions do you have on your system?
About 55, I think.
55 on how many across how many disks?
6 disks.
6 disks, 55 partitions.
Right. You got to have partition magic if you're going to do this.
Yeah, clearly.
You got to have it.
Clearly. And you didn't try, did you try Boot Magic, their boot manager?
I did, and it didn't suffice to
What are some of the technical issues that you had to face here?
Well, one of the issues is figuring out the requirements for each operating system.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know just trying to get Linux, Windows XP, and Windows 98, you have to do it in a certain order and everything.
Exactly.
Did you have to start over a lot?
I had to start over many times. probably 20 times I had to start completely over.
Just said, this isn't going to work?
Yeah, and start in a different order.
How far did you get before, what was the longest you went without starting? Did you get to 38 then have to start over?
No, it was probably about 20 that I had
That's
to
got to be so frustrating.
It was.
You spent most of the last year installing operating systems, basically.
It was a part-time hobby.
Show us some of the wacky operating systems you got. Okay. Well, first of all, you have every version of Windows, right?
I have every version.
Where'd you find Windows 1? Where did you find all of those?
I actually found that on an endangered software website.
Yeah, rightly so. You got Windows 1.01 all the way up to 2.3 XP. That's tough to do, by the way. And was NT the hardest one to get to play with?
2000. I didn't mess with NT because it has some certain issues.
So you basically gave it its own partition and said it's, you know, yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Okay. So there's all your, do you have DOS, how many versions of DOS do you have?
I have 3 versions of DOS. I have DR-DOS, FreeDOS, and MS-DOS 5.
Oh. Well, so. you know, there's like 12 versions of just MS-DOS alone.
There's tons of versions.
Well, so you don't have to stop at 39.
Oh, no. You can keep going.
Do you want to keep going?
Not really.
This is it?
I'm thinking I'm about done.
Show us some other operating systems, because you've got some wacky ones I've never even heard of. We're going to go to the Unix menu here. And this is, you're going to show us, why don't you show us Oberon? Because I'd never heard of that. And you showed me that. You actually have a version of, a skinned version of Oberon.
I do. And it's actually called Blue Bottle.
Blue Bottle. I never heard of this.
It's one of my favorite little operating systems.
So this is, which area are we in now?
This is actually in the main menu.
Main menu.
Because I didn't find anything for it to fit in.
There's no Oberon listing.
Right.
So this is Blue Bottle running. I don't know, can you
Right.
see it, folks? They may not be able to. Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
So this is their launcher.
Right.
And,
the cool thing about this is it has like little demos you can run, like the skeleton running across and the
it's kind of like
bunny and
BOS,
stuff.
demonstrating how well it multitasks.
Right. And
Yeah.
you can run Tetris. And of course you can keep running as many as you want,
Wow.
you know, but it
Does it
bogs
do
down
anything
after a while.
productive, or is it just a fun
You
operation?
know, I haven't done anything productive with it, but
there's no word processor for Blue Bottle?
no,
Okay,
there
that's Blue
isn't.
Bottle skin running on Oberon. Is that the weirdest one you've got?
Oberon is very strange. Let me just go ahead and run that. This is hosted in a Blue Bottle because there's certain issues with running it natively.
Standalone. Okay. What was the toughest one to get installed?
This one was actually pretty tough because I had to edit the boot sector with a hex editor.
Oh man,
So, that was pretty
do
complicated.
you feel like you've learned a lot now about how things work?
Tons.
You're an expert.
On
That's
multi-booting.
great. So your favorite boot manager is XOSL.
Right.
Your favorite partitioner is Partition Magic.
Partition Magic.
What's your favorite operating system?
If I were to pick one to just use, it'd be XP. You know.
All right.
But I still like to go back to 98 because it's, you know,
You're a
a
Windows
little
guy.
quicker.
It's
yeah.
kind of fun to have all of these. Though.
But yeah, I really love BOS as well. So.
BOS is remarkable. Now, unless you had a Mac version on there, what's the deal on that?
You could actually run Mac. It would have to be emulated.
So you have an emulated BOS Mac version on there?
No, I don't.
You just have the name.
Yeah,
All right,
it just looks like it. If you were gonna run a real Mac version, you'd have to buy Mac ROMs and a PCI
that's
card.
a pain. Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll give you something to do in future. So let's get your 5 tips. These are Richard's 5 tips if you want to do this yourself. Number 1, invest in hard drives, lots of them, right?
Yep, I got 6 in mine, so you're gonna need a few.
You're going to need quite a few. Number 2, you have to. What else you have to do? You have to be motivated.
Right. You gotta want to do it because it's a pain in the butt.
I think it's pretty obvious. Partition wisely. What do you mean by that?
Plan out your scheme. Plan out your partition scheme because it's gonna need to work well, obviously, if you're going to have 55 different partitions.
And if you don't plan it out, you'll be doing number 4, which is starting over
Starting
a lot.
over, exactly.
And you have to be willing to do that. But, you know, that's true even on a dual boot system.
It
a lot of times you have to start over. And finally, research the operating systems. What kind of research did you do?
Oh, just tons of research on news groups, asking people, asking experts if it was possible. They said it wasn't. But
Really? They said you couldn't do it? Do you know anybody who's done more?
I don't.
I think we got to get you in the Guinness Book of World Records. Can we
Someone
work on
will
that?
beat it, but...
Somebody may beat it, but you got it here. And, you know, if
Yeah.
they do beat it, you always have that DOS 3.3 in the back pocket you can stick in.
Yeah.
Richard, I am so impressed that you did this. Thank you so much for writing to us and for coming on the show.
Appreciate
we really
it.
appreciate it. It's so
been fun.
great. Read Richard's tips on how you can install multiple operating systems on your computer and how to convince your mom that it's really a worthwhile activity at thescreensavers.com.